Miss Cadell, a Danielle Allard for you, calling from France. Callie thanked her secretary and answered the call. Danielle, what's going on? Is everything okay? Her friend laughed. I should ask you. I haven't heard from you in weeks. Callie sighed. I know, but you see, I've been very busy, and it's not going to get any better, unfortunately. I suspected as much, so go on, tell. How's it going? Except for the times I sleep, and believe me, they are rare. I spend my time in my office. I'm seriously thinking about having a bed put in there, she told her friend in a dull voice. Oh, really? Tell me a little about it, and I'll help cheer you up. Callie began to summarize her first 3 weeks at the Western Tahoe Resort. The hotel initially made a good impression on her. Nestled in a pine forest, a few meters from the lake, the location was worthy of a postcard. On the first day, Callie met her predecessor, a man in his 50s who would be leaving in a few weeks for a well-deserved retirement. The least that can be said is that he looked worn out. If he greeted her with relief, it cannot be said that the rest of the team did so with open arms. They showed a distrust towards her that she had never encountered before. Her relationship with Chef Lafarge and the Luberon seemed to be a true love story in comparison. She was for them, the person who was going to disturb their quiet life deep in the woods. Callie was given a house a few kilometers from the hotel. It was in a housing estate built by the lake, with small canals passing in front of the houses. Callie felt alone there. Her 10 months at the Allard Bonifaci farm had made her used to people around her constantly. Here, she only had the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock to keep her company. Most of the neighbors were absent. Many houses were only occupied in the summer, so her street seemed desperately empty. Callie asked about the whole family. Danielle told her that they were all doing well. She told Callie about Rose and how excited she was about Christmas. She got her news from everyone except the one that her mind kept thinking about, despite the busy week she had. And Vincent? Callie ended up asking. Call him, Danielle replied. I can't. I don't know what to say to him. She hadn't spoken to him since she left them. You both tire me out, Danielle sighed. Why, did he tell you something? Callie's heart was beating faster. He asked me how you were, and I told him to call you. But he hadn't. All her euphoria collapsed like a deck of cards. They talked for a while, and when she was about to hang up, Danielle announced, By the way, I'm sending you a package for Christmas. You can't open it before then. The holidays arrived without Callie noticing. She barely had time to order and send a gift for Rose. Callie received Danielle's package, which she kept intact for Christmas Eve. Callie was going to spend that day alone since her parents couldn't join her. And that's how she found herself alone with Gordon Samuel, the restaurant manager whom she invited for dinner, when she found out he was also alone. Callie, these snacks are truly exceptional. She could have lied by omission by answering a simple, thank you, but Callie had learned that making people believe that she was an excellent cook could easily turn them against her. This is the first time I have tested this caterer from South Lake Tahoe, and I'm rather satisfied. It was recommended to me by Linda, the housekeeper. I didn't want to poison you. Well, Callie, excellent choice of caterer then. His company proved to be pleasant. He had a rather sharp sense of humor and wasn't as depressed as she had wanted to believe. She was happy to have invited him. Gordon was about to leave around 11 p.m. They knew it had started snowing in the evening, but when the door opened, they found that the amount of snow on the ground was much more than they had imagined. A neighbor, however, passed on foot, and seeing them working to get rid of the white gold, she informed them, If I were you, I would give up. The highway isn't cleared, and the authorities have asked everyone to avoid travel. You won't make it 100 meters. Oh, and Merry Christmas. Gordon and Callie exchanged an annoyed look. There was only one solution left. Gordon, I think you're going to have to spend the night with me, she mentioned. When Callie went to bed, Gordon insisted on settling on the couch. She realized that it was after 8 a.m. in France. Rose must be unpacking her gifts, shouting cries of joy. She imagined Vincent, his hair in disarray, a cup of black coffee in his hand, watching at her. The next morning, Callie didn't stay in bed too long. She found Gordon in the kitchen, cooking pancakes. Merry Christmas, Callie. His night on the sofa obviously hadn't put him in a bad mood. After breakfast, they watched a movie, and then Gordon left to take a shower. Callie took out some towels for him and went back to the living room. She was itching to open the package, so she gave in to the temptation. The box contained several small boxes. All were from a member of the Luberon family, with a small card to accompany them. Pape and Mame sent her a package of her favorite brand of coffee, sold only in France, Nicole, and Auguste lavender-scented Marseille soaps. Mireille had wrapped her nougat as if it were a fragile glass object, certainly to give it a chance to pass customs. Danielle, of course, hadn't chosen regional products, but rather a sex toy with a simple word written on the card. Enjoy! Rose had included some pretty Christmas-themed drawings. At the bottom of the box was a small red case with a bow. There was no card with it. Her heart raced for a moment, wondering if it was a present from Vincent. Callie delicately opened the velvet box and took out a magnificent ornate pendant in the shape of a heart. She knew instantly who had bought it. There was no doubt. In the spring, Mireille had sent them together to the Minerve market to fetch meat from a traveling butcher. Callie stopped in front of the stand of a craftsman who worked with silver, and he offered her the jewelry that she found charming. Vincent had teased her about the fact that she was indeed a woman, since she was ecstatic about everything that shone. They weren't even together at the time, yet he remembered it. At the memory of this shared moment, and faced with this gift that touched her heart, Callie started to cry. Tears that she hadn't shed since the morning when leaving the family, when she had soaked Vincent's t-shirt. A ringtone on her computer caught her attention. A little dazed, Callie took a few seconds to understand what it was. It was someone trying to reach her via line. She jumped up, knowing full well that there was a good chance that those who called her were the same whose gifts she had just opened. Approaching the screen, she had the confirmation. "Merry Christmas, Callie!" Rose's small voice echoed in Callie's living room, and the sight of her blonde curls caused a smile that must have spread to her ears. "Oh, sweetheart, it's so nice of you to call me. So, did Santa spoil you?" The little girl began to list the presents she had received. She spoke of it with that childlike joy so beautiful to see, which makes holidays so special when shared with a child. In the middle of the list, however, Callie only listened to her with one ear. He was there. In the background, watching over his daughter with a loving look, Vincent waited. He wore a black turtleneck sweater, fitting close to the body, paired with jeans of the same color. A little sad for a Christmas day, but attractive. "Oh, and thank you for asking Santa to bring me a gift from you. He had put a little card with it so that I know you asked for it especially for me. It's the doll I dreamed of. You know, the one who speaks when you press on her belly. Sweetie, I'm glad to hear that you love your doll. Yes, I'm going to play with it. I'm going to give you to Dad. I think he wants to tell you something. You know, I asked Santa to send him a lover because he looks so sad at the moment. But I think that Santa forgot, or else Dad wasn't well behaved enough." These last words turned Callie's stomach, but she didn't have time to think about it for very long, because Rose had left and Vincent was already settling in front of his computer. Callie's heart started to beat at a frantic pace, and the moment she saw his emerald green eyes appear on her computer screen, her breath stopped. It was the first time she saw him again from the Luberon, and even if it was only virtual, Callie was trembled. "You unwrapped your gift, I see." "Yes, thanks, I love it." A few seconds of silence stretched between them, then he broke the silence. "I miss you," he sighed. Those 3 little words caught Callie off guard and made her so happy as they gripped her heart. While she had been convinced that in their relationship she had been the only one to attach herself, his words surprised her and questioned everything she had thought. Yes, you could tell a friend that you missed them, but his eyes told her everything he didn't say out loud. For once, they didn't hide their emotion under an impassive mask. "I miss you too," Callie replied, trying to repress the tears that threatened to return. "Callie, Suddenly, his body froze, and she saw his eyes staring at a point above her. She turned instinctively, but saw nothing unusual. Callie turned back to Vincent on her computer screen. "You were saying?" "Nothing. I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas," he growled. "Goodbye, Callie." Communication was immediately cut, and Callie thought for a moment that the internet connection was down. But then she realized that it was he who had ended it. She had no idea about this sudden change of mood. However, she had the impression that he had something important to say. "Do you by any chance have a spare toothbrush?" Gordon was walking across the living room towards her, wearing only a towel. "Was that your boyfriend on your computer?" "Oh yes, well no. He is what you could call an ex-boyfriend. If only we had been together officially at some point." Gordon raised an eyebrow and said, "I feel that there's a complicated and not quite finished story behind all this. If you want to talk about it, I have a few hours to kill before I can get back on the road." And that's how she found herself on Christmas Day, telling her story to one of her colleagues. "So, you're telling me that you never confessed to him that you fell in love with him?" "No, never. But what good would it have been? He's not in love with me." "You know, I don't know him. But in the few seconds when I could see his look through the screen on you, then on me, I quickly understood that this man cares about you." "How do you know that? You said he saw you?" "Well, for your first question, he was devouring you with his eyes. And for the second question, yes. When he saw me, if his eyes could have killed, I don't think I would be alive right now." "Do you think that's why he hung up so quickly?" Callie asked in shock. "What do you mean?" he asked. He was about to say something, and then he suddenly cut the conversation. "Callie, did you tell him that you were spending yesterday evening with me? And that I was sleeping over?" No. Why?" she asked. "You wonder why? He thinks you're alone at home. Suddenly, a guy appears half naked in the background, which means he spent the night at your place. What do you think he thought?" "But what does it matter to him? We're no longer together anyway." "Of course, you are no longer together, but that doesn't mean he no longer has feelings for you. If he had been in love with me, he would have tried to stop me from leaving. He would have said something." At least that was what she had been trying to convince herself for a month and a half. "Callie, you know, a person gave me good advice, as recently as last night, that sometimes it was easier to let go of the person you love, rather than drag them into something that would not make them happy." He replied, "But it's being with him that makes me happy." She whispered. What Callie confessed to Gordon at that moment came out without even having thought about it. In truth, she had even refused her mind to go in that direction. She was supposed to live her dream in Lake Tahoe, live the professional experience she worked so hard for, and yet, even if it had only been a short month since she took up her duties, and even though she was passionate about my work, she was missing something. A little flame that would make her feel fulfilled. And it wasn't just him. It was everything. Vincent, Rose, Danielle, their family, life in the Luberon. She wanted it all. "You know, if you hadn't left, you might have blamed yourself your whole life for not doing it. And if Vincent is the intelligent man whom I suspect him to be from what you've told me, he also knew it. Maybe that's why he let you go so easily." Callie looked at Gordon completely dumbfounded. How could this man who barely knows her help put ideas in order so well? She stayed for a moment without saying anything, staring at him stupidly. He smiles at her. Callie was boiling with impatience in her seat. Even before the aircraft had stopped, she attacked her seatbelt, ignoring the safety instructions and the frown of the flight attendant. She ran across the terminal. Not wanting to wait for a suitcase, she decided to travel light with only a single carry-on bag. The doors passed, and after having made her way through the crowd, she rushed towards the taxi's queue. Callie didn't have to wait long. The sound of a horn made her raise my head. A car went along the queue and stopped at the front, receiving some insults from the other taxis. The driver of the car shouted out, "Sorry, buddy, she's one of my regulars," he said to his angry colleague. "So, sweetheart, are we going back to Gord's?" Callie replied with a big smile and climbed into his car. "I knew I would see you again," he said. "Oh, yes?" "My dear, seeing how sad you seemed the day I came to pick you up, and the depressed look of the handsome boy who said goodbye, it was only a matter of time before one of you cracked and went to join the other." The certainty in his voice made Callie feel better. Maybe she wasn't crazy after all? It had been almost 24 hours since she left South Lake Tahoe, and during the 3 flights and the thousands of kilometers covered, she hadn't stopped thinking. Having the feeling that she has made the best decision of her life, and then the most foolish. Gordon had kindly accompanied her to the Reno airport and wished her luck. She hadn't warned anyone about her arrival in Gord, not even Danielle. And as the distance narrowed, her stomach became knotted with fear and excitement at the same time. The taxi entered the driveway leading to the farm. Callie's heart was beating in her chest, hard enough to smash her ribcage. The car stopped, and the driver got out to open the door for her. "Can you stay here for a few minutes in case?" she asked. "My dear, I don't think that's necessary, but if it makes you feel any better," he replied. Callie gave him a small thank you smile. "Callie?" Danielle's voice made her turn around towards the farm. Rose appeared after her and rushed down just as quickly. "Oh my God, I don't believe it! You're here!" "Yes, I'm here!" Callie exclaimed happily, realizing that she missed them even more than she thought. "Oh my God, it's not possible! It's not possible!" Danielle kept repeating. "It is, you know." Callie burst out laughing at the bewildered look of her ex-roommate. "Yes, I know." She took a deep breath. "I know it's you, but I mean Vincent." She put her hand over her mouth as if she really couldn't believe what was going on. "Vincent, what's the matter?" Callie stopped smiling, feeling a great void forming inside of her. "He's gone." How can he be gone? Callie couldn't make a single sound. Where did he go? She had come all this way, and he was gone. "Dad went to join you, Callie," clarified little Rose. Callie looked at her completely confused, not understanding what she meant. "Vincent left an hour ago for the airport to come and see you in the United States," said Danielle. "What? But, Callie stammered. "It's not possible." "It is, you know, so I suggest you jump in that taxi as soon as possible and join him before he leaves." The three of them rushed into the car. "We must return to Marignan as soon as possible," Callie yelled to the driver. "No worries, miss. I'll get you there in less time than it takes to say it." On this point, the driver hadn't lied to her. You could believe that he had waited all his life for a mission like this. They ran as fast as Rose's little legs allowed them. Arriving in front of the flight counters for Montreal, Callie scanned the crowd. Unfortunately, no Vincent in sight. Callie rushed over to an employee who was tapping on her keyboard behind a check-in desk. "Excuse me." She looked away from her screen no longer than a blink. "Excuse me, could you tell me if my friend Vincent Bonifaci is departing on one of your flights?" The check-in officer raised a perfectly plucked eyebrow, looking at Callie as if I had just asked her if she believed in life after death. "I'm not authorized to give you that kind of information, miss." Callie tried another approach. "I'm here with his daughter, and I need to contact him urgently." The young woman was losing patience. "Miss, we don't give any information about our passengers. If you want to reach him, just call him. Now, I'll ask you to leave room for other travelers." They had tried calling him from the taxi during the mad rush to the airport, but his phone was either off or in airplane mode. "But you don't understand. This is extremely important." The officer displayed a look of 9 on the boredom scale. "Callie! Rose!" Callie's heart missed a beat. The voice that spoke her name and that of his daughter was all she wanted to hear at that moment. He finally came up to her, and without a second of hesitation, dropped his suitcase to hug her tenderly. His familiar smell enveloped her, his embrace tightened, and her body snuggled against his so firm and reassuring. The bustle of the airport, the announcements through the loudspeakers, the shrill beeps of the security gates, everything was gone. There was only him and her. Callie finally had the feeling of being home. Of course, Callie's arrival, or rather her second arrival of the day at the farm, caused a mini tidal wave. Everyone wanted to see her, talk to her, and touch her. So much so that Vincent and Callie didn't have time to exchange more than a few words. He was constantly standing near her, as if he wanted to be sure that she wouldn't disappear without him realizing it. The fact that he gave Danielle one of his murderous looks when she suggested that Callie move into her old room reassured her that he wanted her with him for that night. But for how long? She also noted that he was more demonstrative towards her in front of his family, no doubt since his daughter was now aware. When the last had left and Rose was asleep, they were finally alone. Callie was exhausted. Jet lag and travel had already taken a toll on her, but the emotions of the day and that grand finale, like the best romantic comedies, had finished her. Vincent sat down beside her. He took her hands, and as he searched for his words, Callie started. "Vincent, I know that I just showed up like this unexpectedly, but I love you, Callie. He interrupted her. This sudden statement left her speechless. She had planned to reveal her feelings to him, even if it meant looking like a fool, and now it was he who admitted his to her most clearly and beautifully. I love you, and I'm an idiot already for never having told you, but then for letting you go without saying anything. I tried to convince myself that because I loved you, I couldn't stop you from going to live your dream, that I had to step aside so that you had no regrets. Once there, you would be happy and forget me. He continued, but the problem is that I'm selfish, and knowing you are far from me is too hard to live with. And when the other day I saw you with that, I don't know who he is to you. I understood that one day you were going to replace me, and that would hurt even more than not seeing you. So, I don't know how we're going to be able to do it. It may take a little time for me to organize myself with Rose, the garage, and the rest, but I want to live with you, Callie. Maybe I was wrong, and your feelings aren't the same as mine. Maybe in a few seconds, you'll tell me that this isn't what you want, but at least I would have tried. I wouldn't have missed this chance. He reaffirmed. Tears ran down Callie's face, but didn't stop her from smiling tenderly at him. I love you too, she sobbed. He then took her in his arms, not without letting out a sigh of relief. I missed you so much, she added. I missed you and Rose so much. I promise you that I'll do everything I can so that we are together, that you can continue your career while having us with you. No, I don't want that. Callie shook her head, and a glimmer of panic passed through his beautiful green eyes. She quickly continued, You are my dream. My dream is here, with your daughter, your family, in this house, in the Luberon. I don't want to live my life away from all this. This has become my home, where I feel at home. I don't care about the career that I had invented in my head. What good is it to live away from those I love? But you could have both, your career and me. He tried to convince her. I'm not interested anymore. What I want is to be happy, and I'm sure it will be here in Gourds. Callie took his face in her hands, while his eyes were still blinking as if trying to wake up from a dream. I'm here, and I'm staying, she whispered against his lips. She kissed him gently at first, then weeks of absence took over, and the kiss became feverish. I hope you enjoyed watching Captivating the French Hearts. For more epic stories, please subscribe and turn on post notification. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.